let's start the podcast.
I could put you in the brig for what you've done, but I won't do it.
Two Owls, One Pod. We are the spin-off podcast from the web series, The Two Dicks. Then we were the Talking Dicks. Now we're Two Owls, One Pod. I'm Al Romas. I'm home, Clearwater, Florida, 100,000 degrees outside. I'm in a little sunroom, slowly dying in a coffin-like atmosphere. That's Al Ducharme. He's on the Vision of the Seas. I don't know where he is. Maybe a sea day. I like that curtain. That's old school. Look at that thing. How's the old tub there, Alfred? We're doing a morning record. Look at that thing. If you're on Patreon, you're enjoying the
she's
curtain.
A classic. The Vision of the Seas. Definitely still a fine vessel, but she's seeing her peak.
Is there anyone there?
Yes, what you see?
Iceberg, right ahead!
Thank you.
It's funny, the cabins here are a little deeper. So there's like this extra like 3 or 4 feet deep. And it makes a difference when you have this much by 10 feet, whatever it is. It makes makes a little difference. So
that is weird that's the smallest, oldest pretty much, and yet the room's probably bigger than on Icon. Yeah. The guest rooms are smaller because they made the promenade so massive, so you wouldn't feel crowded, but the rooms themselves are smaller than
we call them cabins
room on the Vision.
You're a former Navy.
I never really have been on a ship before, so I'm new to this whole thing.
Didn't you have like 4 bunks?
I think we have a little we had 4 racks. They were called racks back in the day. Yeah, you'd have 4 grown men in one in each rack in various forms of sleep. So you have
bodily
the snorer
fluids,
or the farter.
Emitting fumes.
It was delightful. Never been so
best
hard.
4 years of your life.
God, it was. It really. How sad is that? How sad. I look back and go, that really was the best 4 years of my life. Damn it. It's all been downhill ever since. So where are you now? Is this a sea day?
This is a sea day. We're just off the coast of probably northern Florida. We're heading up to Maryland. We're going to go to Baltimore.
Oh.
And what is it? BWI is the airport that I'm going to be flying out of. How far is that from the port? I haven't been to Baltimore in a decade.
Yeah, maybe a half hour, 25, 30 minutes. Yeah, my niece was visiting. Hannah was visiting us this week, and I put her on a plane yesterday, and she flew home to BWI. So, you just missed her. But yeah, about a half hour BWI. I'd leave it a lot of time because it's one of those old airports that just don't have their shit together. You know what I mean? Just take your time. I don't know what's happening there.
Propeller.
I think I lost. Because there was no sound. I lost sound on that.
Oh, yes. See, my hype mic, which I love and adore. It cancels out a lot of the background noise if it's too blunt.
Yeah. So. Yeah. That's what we want. We want a mic canceling our various sounds we make for the podcast. It's a good call. Hey, do you have any, because we're doing a morning record, I'm just drinking some coffee. Do you have any breakfast? Do you do any breakfast on the ship?
I do. It's a sea day, so I usually try to get the breakfast delivered. I do the continental. And just some cereal, bananas.
Free.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's free. If you order eggs and pancakes, they charge you. It says $7.95 plus gratuity, and then you tip the person cash. So it turns into like
it turns
$12,
out to be
$15.
Yeah. It used to be free. I remember all room service free 24/7.
I remember when I first started,
back in the day,
You could order from any restaurant.
Order from
On
I don't
Celebrity.
remember that.
Yeah, on Celebrity.
Oh, on Celeb. Oh,
You could order
fancy.
from a
Yes.
restaurant. So you could order from the Chops. There was
Wow.
no cover charge. And you just,
Oh, wow.
we'd have, I was Mark Preston. We'd have like four of us, because only the entertainers could order from Chops. Four of us, a couple of crew members in one cabin. And we tipped a delivery person like $40. And they were like, and we were eating
it was
steaks.
a little
and it was
different cruising in the day. Yeah. There was a lot of perks.
But today there's no Chops.
So what do? You get a continental. What do you go with? What's an El Ducharme continental?
I mix it up
breakfast?
sometimes, just the croissant. Sometimes I order the English muffin. Now, because of the past experiences I've had, I know to put a little asterisk in pen on the menu, and it says, "Please toast the English muffin. Run it through twice." I say twice through. Blah, 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 blah.
Karen Ducharme.
I know. I hate to do it, but because so many times it's just a cut English muffin that's not toasted. So I put the asterisks on there so that they don't do it. So what happens this morning? I put my little note on there.
Get right on that.
Dun, dun,
we got a double toaster.
Look at this. Look at this. Dun, dun, dun.
Wow.
Dun, 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 dun. Does that look like it even went through?
Well, wow. I don't think that could be less toasted.
Yeah, it was
less. It could not be less toasted.
I think the batter is still wet on this English muffin. I actually think this is a German muffin.
They took offense.
I think it's a German muffin, and they didn't put it in the oven yet because the war ended.
Hey,
what
there
the?
you go.
Wow,
look at that. Comedy.
I like it. How do you get a joke out of that disaster?
Box.
That tragedy.
Did it happen? We don't even know.
Yeah, come on, let's be honest.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? So what do you do with that? Are you gonna slobber some jelly on it and try to eat it, or are you gonna just throw it in the hallway in disgust? What do you do with a uncooked muff? How do you go about
uncooked muff?
Eating an uncooked muff? How do you go about doing it?
What is that? That sounds like a pedophilia joke. All right, let's.
What do you do with that? You got a bald muff there. Are you gonna do?
It's like having sex with an underage prostitute. I don't know. Wow,
yeah, you got to butter up that muff.
We already realized that we've been canceled like 8 times. We're going for 10.
Yeah, butter that muff.
2 more to go.
You gonna eat that thing?
Disgusting middle-aged men. Anyways, so I called. I said I got to let them know. I go. They don't. I joined mid-cruise. I joined mid-cruise, so they don't know that I'm a guest entertainer.
I'm letting you know that this muffin was not.
I'm under the guise of being a passenger.
Oh, Jesus.
I start off by apologizing. I go, so sorry to do this. Sorry. I go, but I ordered an English muffin and it hasn't even gone through the toaster. Can I get a toasted English muffin, please? I'm so sorry. He goes, he said, I'm sorry. We'll send one up right away. So instead of the guy who came to deliver it, who I tipped, 5 smackaroos, the stripe shows up, like the manager guy in his whites with stripes.
Oh no!
So he looks like the captain.
And he knows who you are. He's like, that's an entertainer. This piece of shit.
He goes, so sorry, sir. He's apologetic. I go, you didn't have to make the special trip. You could have sent the other guy. It came up like 5 minutes later. And then I go, I appreciate. He gave me 2, and I opened it up, and they were golden toasted. It was gorgeous and nice and hot. And I put my cream cheese and some strawberry jam on there, preserves.
Cream cheese on an English?
And here's another thing. Ready? Because I do the butter. The butter's the norm. I kind of break out of that. Here's another one. Cream cheese.
The nooks and crannies. Those nooks and crannies call for butter to be melted.
The cream cheese will melt eventually.
No.
Here's what you do: cream cheese, ready, and honey.
Cream
on an English muffin. I don't know about cream cheese, but it's quite the combo.
Honey is pretty good.
Because you're getting a little sweet and tart. It's pretty good. I recommend it. Right. Give it a whirl.
Wow, you're ballsy, man. I've done the breakfast order, but I just take what I get. I've never called down and said, this is not
No,
toasted to my liking.
the only other time I've called is when
Wow.
I put the time of 8:30 to 9 a.m. delivery,
Hmm.
and then at 9:20 it's not here, so I made the call, and then it
Yeah.
showed up, and my coffee was cold.
Oh,
And,
fuck.
and I
That's it.
called back and said, "Hey, this coffee's cold."
This is unsaid.
And again, 5 minutes later, but it wasn't the admiral that showed up; it was just a regular
Yeah.
person.
Uh-huh. Just the CEO.
And I
Justin Bailey.
didn't tip that person. It was a different person.
Oh, okay.
I didn't tip them because I tipped the first person $5. So why am I going to?
Right.
It's a mistake,
I hear you. What do you do? What do you do if you get your muffin there and no silverware? You don't have a knife to apply.
I didn't have. All right, now 2 days
you
ago.
call down again.
2 days
call
ago,
down?
I didn't have a spoon.
Oh no.
So I called and I said, "Hey,"
Oh,
and I had cereal.
They have your face next to the phone
Well, yeah.
with like a fucking line through it and come on it and a jerk off.
Yeah, they're
on
jerking
it.
off in my food. Here's your cream cheese.
They are guaranteed. That cream cheese is a little different than you used to. That's all I'm saying.
Come
Filipino
to
cream cheese,
me,
if you
you
know what I mean.
smell like come to me. I have to do editing. I got to take that out.
Tonight, what's tonight? Final day? Is this day, whatever it is, 4 or 5 of your cruise? Are you finished? Or you have another day?
No, we have 2 sea days before we get to Baltimore.
Oh,
So I have
2
this
sea
evening
days.
off once again.
Nice.
My
Look at
third
you.
night off,
Days
and then
off.
tomorrow night I
Oh.
have a 6:45 p.m. show, 20 minutes on the farewell show. So there's going to be dancers and singers and me making fart noises.
There you go. So you're on for 4 days, one show in the farewell.
Yes,
that
I
what
don't
we're
know the
doing?
circumstances,
Nice.
if someone
Nice.
canceled, didn't make it, or if they realized they didn't have an act and
Wow.
the schedule was already made.
That's what happens to me every night about 5 minutes into my set. I realize I don't have an act. I'm just being honest.
And you weren't scheduled. And they're like, why is this guy on
dude
during the
here?
aqua show? But this is supposed to be diving and swimming.
This guy, he's here like every 2 weeks. What the fuck's going on here? He has no act, nothing.
Sir, this is a diner.
What is it? Oh, I'm sorry.
You're in a diner, sir?
How about the comedian who used to open? Remember these guys that used to open? I'm not really a comedian. I'm just washing dishes, but they put me up here. Did you ever get that guy?
Mm-hmm.
That was the opening. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm not really a comedian. I'm doing dishes, and they asked me to go on here for 5 minutes, and you go, yeah, you should really go back in the kitchen.
Get back in the kitchen.
Get back there, cook the fish. Well, that's pretty good. I like the schedule because, we do so many of these comedy club ships, and you get one night off out of 7 days. And so it's nice to have the multiple nights off. That's pretty sweet.
Well, I was supposed to go
like
home. So
well, you chose this. You could have gone home.
I could have gone
free
home,
will, buddy.
Well, Well, they were trying to get me to stay on through August 11th, and I said I can come on and do the 4-day, and I thought I'd never hear back.
Yeah,
and then actually the morning of, did you get your information, your flight information?
Those
I'm like,
fart
what?
noises can't be made by themselves. You know what I'm saying? They know.
Well, first of
they
all,
know your value, dude.
These
they know
aren't
what they got.
These aren't regular fart noises.
No,
okay?
I'm
a professional.
Oh, that's right.
I take it up a couple of notches.
It's a different level. Yeah.
It's not new.
It's pretty
it's the reinvented old.
Mm-hmm. But you've taken it and you've put your own spin on it.
I certainly have.
And when you hear an Al Ducharme fart noise, you go, that's a Ducharme. That's a different
I'm
thing.
performing one of the lost arts, Al.
That's true. I agree. It is lost.
Can I set you up with on a tee any more than that?
It is lost, no doubt. And you found it. And,
I found.
You made a living for.
Well, because the new people have no reference. I'm so old at doing stand-up comedy. They think what I'm doing is new. It's great.
This guy made the fart sound himself.
What are you talking about? He created it. The new
Wow.
person's like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. He makes a fart
Yeah.
noise. And I've never seen that before. And then someone in the office, some old, probably, what the hell are you talking about? That was vaudeville.
Lepetamine. What Lepetamine? Wasn't that the guy?
I think it was. That's how you pronounce it, right?
Lepetamine. I think Steve O, the comedian Steve O, he's not a comedian anymore, but Steve O
Yes.
made a documentary or wrote a book about Lepetamine.
He did.
And it was a French performer who farted his act. He
Flatulence.
something. He was known for he could fart. And that's why in Blazing Saddles, Mel Brooks is mayor. He's the governor. He's Petamine.
Okay, give us a hand here.
All right, sir.
Work, 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 work. Hello, boys. Have a good night's rest. I missed you.
Oh, I didn't know that.
As the name fart.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know
he's Governor
that.
Lepetamine.
Do you know they tried to
There you go.
revive that act maybe 15 years ago? Stephen Scott was involved with that.
The Lepetamine's act.
Yeah, but it was with an orchestra and
Wow.
it was like a play of some sort. And
Yeah.
Stephen Scott tried to recruit me as a, I guess the money was pretty decent. And I said, I have no idea what the reference is of what it's all about. So then I went in and looked in. I said, okay, throw my name in the hat. It never happened, but I was curious and I wanted to go see a live performance before I made the final decision.
I think there was a Broadway or off-Broadway version. I don't know who was in it.
That's what I'm talking about.
And he did it? He actually had
the
it
revival
done,
of it. Maybe like 15 years ago,
Oh, I
16
see.
years ago. And they were going to go on tour with it. That was the whole thing. So the money was like pretty substantial. I'm like, I'm not going to go touring and making fart noises. Then I realized
you are.
That's what I do.
That's what you do. You are
4 times the money. Oh, maybe I should look into this. But nonetheless,
wow.
Here we are.
Right. So
hey,
but I like that schedule. I haven't done one of those in a while. I'm going to do the Freedom in a couple weeks. And that's like a welcome aboard, couple nights off, maybe a farewell or an adult show, but kind of looking forward to that, where you just have I don't like it. It's weird. Like we always have to bitch about something.
Mm-hmm.
I was just working with Derek Richards and he likes to work every night. He doesn't like the nights off. And I go, I get that. It does go faster. Mm-hmm. But when I'm doing them all the time, I'm like, I'd like one of those night off shifts.
You want to break up the monotony.
Yeah, but if you get too many of them, then I'm bored. I got to have 3 nights off in a row. What the fuck, what do you do? So we're never happy is really what the point of this.
No, and I just came off of I came off of a 3 and 4 day cruise. So it was 3 days, new cruise, 4 day, and I had to do 5 shows per cruise.
Yeah,
and it was a challenge.
Right.
So that was 10 shows in a week, and I'm used to doing anywhere from 12 to up to 17 a couple of years back. But it was challenging because it was moved around the ship too much. It wasn't uniformed, and it was a bad schedule. They kept scheduling it against bigger shows. So one show I'd be packed, and another show I'd have 10 people. It was ridiculous.
And were you in a theater? Were you in a lounge?
I was in the theater for 2 shows, and then the other 8 were in a lounge, which not conducive. It's made for, lounging and drinking and dancing. They had a dance floor. Yeah. And then they get
Comedy
there and
there's
no chairs on the dance floor. So the guy comes running in, the guy who's hosting it. He goes, "Oh my God." And he's pushing chairs on the floor. And I'm like, should I help him? And he's sweating. And he goes, no, I got this. And he ends up putting, 20 chairs. And they're heavy because you're at sea, and all the furniture is very heavy. So,
but again, don't they do this every week? I mean, why is everything always active?
He said,
"They're
supposed to have this all set up, but this cruise director added 4 new shows, and they're all running around the ship, and they don't have time." And the comedian, of course, the comedian's
with
fine.
any ship you go to, it's always like that. They always act like we've never done this before. Like, oh, your name's not on the list, or whatever. And it's like every week you do this. Why does it act like a surprise or something new every time? They know you're doing shows in that lounge. There has to be chairs. I mean, it shouldn't be last minute freak out.
Now, on this one, there's a curtain and then there's a rise, like a stage, and behind it, the band plays. And when they're done, the comedian goes on. They close the curtain, the comedian goes on. So I asked to do a sound check. And I said, is it possible to get a corded mic? And they're all like, ooh, a corded mic? What's wrong with the cord? They start asking me questions. Can't you use the cordless? And I go, I prefer a corded because I do 3 or 4 bits with the cord as a prop.
Right.
But when I'm in trouble, I like to have it as a go-to. So they go like, I don't know how we're going to do it. And I'm looking at the band and they have like 8 cables that go to microphones. They all have corded microphones. I'm like, can't you just move that through the curtain? And the guy goes, oh yeah, I guess I could. Yeah, you can. You're the sound guy.
And you're not the first to ask.
So he does it. We do a sound check. It sounds great. We do the levels. I go, thank you so much. That was the first show. So I come back, no corded microphone. So 5 minutes before the thing, the activities manager goes, hey, didn't you ask for a corded microphone? I go, oh, yes. And the sound guy goes, oh, you still need it?
Oh, jeez. I give up.
The same guy.
I give up.
He goes, I thought you just needed it for that one show.
Yeah, that's how I do it. I do each show differently with sound. I did a lounge show once years ago, and the guy asked me, what do I need? And I said, just mic. No, what did I say? I said, I need a mic stand. And he goes, okay. And then as I'm walking onto the floor, I realized there was no microphone in the stand. I had set a mic stand. So I got out there and there's 200, 300 people looking at me. And I'm like, there's no fucking mic here. And later the guy looked at me with a straight face. He goes, you didn't ask for one. I go, okay, well, that's where we are. We got to go, Mike.
It depends. That's like China. When I went to China, Beijing, it was everybody had a specific job. Yeah. And they couldn't cross the line to do like a checking into the hotel, and the person would open the door. They had one person just open, because it's 1.3 billion people. One person opens the door, and then there's like 12 steps to get to the hotel. So we're getting out of a taxi. So there's one person that opens the door of the taxi, and then there's 12 steps, and there's another person that opens the door of the hotel. They couldn't, and it's me and Bernadette. We have 2 luggages each because we're on the road for a month, and they couldn't make the difference. All of a sudden, I see the one guy. It's like the Matrix. All of a sudden, he realizes what's happening, and he's like, and he like detaches the cable from the back of his neck. And he breaks out of the Matrix.
Mr. Anderson.
And Mr. Anderson. And he comes down the steps and starts helping us. And then the other guys are looking, they go, he's going to go to prison. He's not following the rules. So and then I tip him, and then they all just started like losing their minds that I actually gave him money. But it was interesting how some people, you ordered a mic stand and he couldn't put it together that... No, the microphone would automatically
didn't ask for one. Didn't ask for a mic.
Asked for it.
That's right. That's weird that you said. I was thinking of a AA meeting. You said when you got there were 12 steps. I wonder if there was any connection with that. Yeah, I don't know, man.
I missed that.
Hey, I got to show you something weird. Here's the thing.
And he pulls out his penis.
Last week, I'm packing. Well, it's close, very close. Stay close here. I'm packing to go away for 1 week, and I was like, you know what? I had these couple cans of Coke were sitting out, so I'm like, a couple cans of Coke. I'll take some Coke with me. I throw it in my bag. Okay. And I didn't fly. I drove, but during it, I guess a little pinhole, because you can never find in the Coke can, like a little pinhole popped.
Oh.
And let out Coke into my bag. Yeah, without flying, no pressure, just
really
very strange in the luggage. Yeah. So I'm unpacking. I get to the wonder of the seas. I'm unpacking, and I notice this dampness in my bag. I'm like, what the fuck? And the socks were wet. So one pair of socks is wet with Coke. So I throw those in a bag. I'm gonna, it's a laundry thing. Then I have my underwear, and my underwear is all fine, but one pair is a little damp. There's like a little damp, and I'm like, you know what? Just throw those to the side. I'll wear them on a Saturday. A week from now, they'll be fine. So Saturday comes. I'm not like you. I don't bring extra pair of underwear with me in my backpack.
You don't pack a little extra pair. See, I do that, and this is a perfect example of why you would do that.
This is a good. This would be a good example. Now, I hope you're on the Patreon, everyone listening. If you're not, get on it because you're going to want to see this. So after day 7, on day 7, I'm down to my last pair of skivvies, and I open the drawer, and I'm like, oh, that's that pair that got damp. So I pull them out, I put them on, and I drive home from wherever I was, Canaveral. But as I'm driving, I'm like, what the fuck? This feels weird. I just feels, what the hell's happening here? It feels odd.
It's
so
not a good feeling.
No, it's not. It's a bizarre feeling. Something's going on. So I get home and I go in the bathroom.
Is that a 3-hour drive?
It's two and a half hours.
Yeah.
So I get home and I go in the bathroom and I inspect my drawers.
No.
Look what Coke did to my.
No.
Look. Yes.
Oh my goodness! There's a hole. You can put your head through that hole. This is on your testicles now. So your Native American name is Drives with Sticky Balls.
Coca-Cola. This is cotton. This is
95%
cotton.
It was a synthetic
spandex. It ate through in 7 days. It ate through a hole that's as big as my head.
Dear Lord, you got to see this, folks. This is clearly, it's like a 9-inch or 8-inch hole. If you stretch it out, it would go double that. He put his head through the underwear. You could rob a bank right now.
My head is through there. And,
wow.
Is that unbelievable? And it wasn't even soaked. It was damp. Like damp where you go, I'll probably wear this tomorrow. It's fine. But it sat for 7 days in that dampness, and it ate through my
Can you keep that on? Can you keep that on? He put his head through, and it was wrapped around his neck. His underwear was wrapped.
Yeah.
So you look like you really did put your head up your ass, but it.
Hey now.
Is
that unbelievable? Come on.
Yeah. So you're drinking that stuff?
I'm drinking this stuff. I tweeted it to Coke. And I said, hey, Coke, blah, blah, blah. But they didn't respond. But, I mean, there's holes. These are brand new, by the way.
Did you send them the picture?
I tweeted the picture and a description of what happened. And I have yet to hear from the Coca-Cola people. But I can't believe that, man. 7 days, ate through cotton and created and just kept going. The hole's ridiculous size and,
Well, they use Coca-Cola to remove.
So yeah, that's
rust.
what people are. Remember the old days? You pour it on your car.
You'd put it on. Right. Back in the day,
paint. They used to say if you poured it.
Back in the day, they had chrome bumpers, and if they started to pit and rust, you could use Coca-Cola as a solvent to get the rust off. Wow, we are old. Chrome bumpers. You remember that?
I don't even remember that, to be honest.
During our lifetime?
Well,
they were old cars.
Yeah, I remember
they were older cars.
No, I remember them being sure. I remember a chrome bumper. Yeah.
I mean, because when all the rubber stuff came out in what was that, the 80s? There were cars on the road that were 10 years old easily that had chrome.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But so when you're drinking a Coke, folks, just be aware. This thing is pretty lethal.
That was
holy shit.
Wow.
Amazing.
Did you get a mirror and inspect your undercarriage?
Yes, I lost a ball. One ball vanished.
Well, you had 3, so you always had an extra one.
Yeah, it was like an extra ball just in case, and it was eaten by the Coke. Fentanyl was in my Coke that took out my ball. So,
crazy. He's a 3-baller Al, they called him.
Well, when you go to inspect something where you're thinking, well, nothing, you look and you go, what the fuck? It just was like, man, and that was it. It was, and again, just damp. What if they had been soaked? Imagine take a Coke and he went and pour it on a pair of underwear or something and check it out a day later. This was damp, and it ate through it like mofo.
So I wonder if you had like a bad, like if you had leprosy, if you took a bath in Coke for 3 hours, 2.5 hours.
And you might be onto something there,
Would that
Fauci. I don't know. You should, yeah, give it a. That sounds like that knucklehead would think. Oh, why don't we try that? Or
so since he had his throat surgery, Dr. Fauci, Anthony Fauci, right? It's Anthony Fauci. Since he had his throat surgery, he sounds 25 years younger than he is.
Yeah,
remember during the pandemic,
I'm sure he's done a bunch of different.
You get your vaccine.
I'm sure he's got a lot of surgeries.
You have 100% chance of not dying.
Yeah, that guy will be around forever because he can, he'll manipulate shit and fuck around and, kill young children. If anyone drinks children's blood, it's him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't believe those things, but if anyone does, it's Fauci and probably Gates and, Bezos or someone drinking some baby blood.
But
if they do it, I'm not saying they do.
They don't call it baby blood. They have a name for it.
What do they call it? Oh, what do they call it?
Euthanizer.
Oh, that's not bad. Who is she? You got to euthanize her. Who is she? See?
Hello.
We're having fun, baby.
We
fun.
make money.
These...
We make money for a living. We make money for a living
right.
doing this stuff.
You wouldn't believe it. But we save it for the stage. We're like the old.
I think doing a podcast in the morning. I'm telling you right now, 10 and 12 hours later, we're pretty funny. But in the morning, not so much.
Beep, 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 beep. Hey, are you watching any of these Olympics?
I wanted to talk about the Olympics.
Are you tuning in? Are you offended by them? These people. Everyone's
So people got offended by the beginning of the Olympic ceremony. They had a Last Supper, and it was very offensive. Christianity offended by the display that they had. But the point being, it was about Greek history and the Olympics, and it had nothing to do with it.
And trans
Christians.
People. I think it was about
well,
trans.
they're definitely
these trannies.
They're definitely
having Last Supper.
They're kind of taking a broad
look at the
brush.
Picture. Yeah. Yes.
And they're
broad broad in quotes.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's politically motivated.
I'm at the point I don't care. Okay. You know what I mean? Like,
I just want to see the athletes.
Things are going to happen. And those things are going to happen, and I don't care. I don't really give a shit. It's fun to listen to, but if you're offended by anything, go kill yourself. I mean, really, really. What are you offended by? You're not offended by anything.
There are people that are not offended, but they hear, "Hey, you're supposed to be offended by this," and they all jump on the bandwagon. And that's the definition of a sheeple to me.
Right, but I'm saying you yourself, you're not offended by
me,
anything.
Al Ducharme.
So right? No,
I don't give a shit.
No, but why do people? That's what I'm saying. So I just look at it from the outside because I don't care. I mean, if that's something in your life that you really took offense to, and were like bothered by, and can you imagine that?
Well, they weren't portraying Allah. It wasn't something like that.
No, I don't know what I just saw it.
It was Greek history.
That's what I read afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but I wasn't offended to begin with the first time.
Right.
Whatever.
I just don't like when someone says you should be offended by this.
Or the ceremony, the opening ceremony, they were like, it was satanic and, all this Satan. I mean, everything's Satan. Everything's, There was Peter Bales on Long Island had a thing where years and years ago, because he said the school system, something about the school system sucks, and on Long Island, because he went under an overpass and it said some kid graffitied, and it said Satin rules. He's like, really? Anyway, Satin rules. Peter Bales, Long Island, shout out.
Very funny, and also a teacher. He was a teacher for many years.
Professor. Yes.
Professor.
Yes, he's a history professor and
nice guy.
Yeah. Nice guy. One of the originals, in fact. I think one of the very first with Bob Nelson and Eddie Murphy and Richie Minervini and a few others.
And he's married to Peaches Rodriguez, comedian.
That's right. Are they married or either married
common
or
law. I
yeah,
don't know.
common law. That's right.
I don't know if I don't know that part. If there's
when does common law begin?
I heard 7 years.
7 years you're common to the law.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So you and Kelly have
because I've been here. Yet. I've been here 2 years almost.
Is it almost
not
2
common
years?
Yet?
No.
Yeah, this September will be 2 years. Can you imagine that?
Question: if you guys move, does it reset or does it continue?
That's a good question.
Does it have to be the same dwelling?
Can't answer that, but we're going to move, and that's a good question. I think. Well, I don't know because time in the one address. Does that count or no? It has to be. You have to be.
Plus, you're spending 2 weeks out of the month on ships, so you have to wait 14 years.
Oh man, you're bumming me out now, dude. You know what I mean? This is hurtful. It's like a friend of mine. He got his birthday yesterday. I wish him his happy birthday, and he goes, "Thanks." He's like, and the way he put it, he wrote back something like, "We're on the downside here, and there's not many more left, so we're enjoying it." I'm like, Jesus, that fucking hurt. Where are you going? What's happening?
Sorry, we have an announcement.
Oh,
it's okay. I think it's filtered down. I don't think you can hear it.
He's not a chatty mofo like the last guy, is he?
Oh my Lord!
MSC. Holy shit. So what's your take on that? We got people listening. They love the cruising. They're all about cruising. What's your take? MSC? You're a fan? You recommend it? Would you pass on it? What's your go-to advice on that?
My personal experience that I had was good. I had the food was very good, and the coffee, the regular swill, is delicious. It's a different culture than what I'm accustomed to as far as like Royal, Celebrity, and a few others. And they're all slightly different from one another. But I would definitely do another cruise, perform on one. Yes.
What was the big,
I'm going to send notes in
to
my agent. I have an agent. I don't know if you have one or not, but
no. I'm sure they'll be all over those notes. They love to hear from the ex and respond.
Inside jokes from truth, based in truth, ladies and gentlemen.
That's why they're funny, because they're true. But what do you mean by, you talking about clientele, or like what's the diff where you go? I go on there. Am I going to be like, are these people going to get my fart jokes or what?
Those of you that are not familiar, cruises can be anywhere from 3 days, 4 days, 1 week, 8 days, 9 days, 100 days. I prefer the 1 week cruises.
Yeah.
When you start going into the 3 and 4 day cruises, the clientele changes and they're more into a unruly party crowd, like booze cruise, as we call them. And they're a little bit more difficult to tame when they come to your comedy show. Sometimes they're there just to drink and heckle. And there was a couple having an argument.
I see.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
There was a couple having an argument as I'm being introduced. So they were having it. And of course, I did the play-by-play like it was a boxing match. They had no clue I was doing it. She got up and left, and he stayed, and he was hammered. And then I would reference it every once in a while, and it went completely over his head. And it became my thread that saved my show. Right. I would get a huge laugh out of it. And then he wasn't laughing at it because he was so drunk. He just wasn't responding.
I gotcha. So So you're saying, but not so much MSC. You're more talking about 3 and 4 day cruises
Yeah, I'm not a fan of
anywhere,
it.
because
I
I
mean,
find that could be any cruise line. You're
yeah, no,
dealing with
and they
drunks.
all seem to be kind of doing that now with a bunch of their ships over
Yeah,
the summer months. Anyways,
I know.
I think it's easier for them with families. Some people want to bring their kids, but they don't want to take them for a week. So if they
Right,
take them on a three or
and
four
can't
day,
afford it. A lot of
yeah.
them just it's
So
cheaper, obviously.
these short ones are a little cheaper, but at the same time, um, yeah, it's you're taking the families with one or two small children, and then
Yeah,
you're with the drunks.
yeah. It's definitely challenging. I mean, there's no doubt about it. That's the problem. Not a problem so much, but on the Icon, it's billed as family cruise. It's for families, for kids.
Mhm.
And parents will bring their kids to the comedy club, and the kid is like 16 or 17. And they go, well, we need an ID. And the parent will be like, look, he's cool. He's 17. He can get in.
He's
And
heard
they're
all
like,
the
no.
words.
Right. And they go, no. And it's like, there's like arguments out there.
Mm.
People get into the comedy club host's face.
It says 18 and
doing his
older,
job.
18 plus.
It says 18 old, but and then I was thinking when I was a kid, though, I was in the Poconos. My dad used to grease the Mater D, and I would go in there and see Pat Cooper and Kelly Monteith and those guys, and I was like 15. So I kind of get it, even though I'm out there going, these people are fucking idiots. I'm like, well, I kind of did that myself, back in the day, because I was like, I want to see.
But it's a
whoever.
little different situation. You're on land.
Is it?
There's not 300 people trying to do the same thing. It's like once in a while, a little grease, palm gets greased.
Right. Well, that's true. That's true. I was really
the
the
parents
only kid,
kind of saying, hey, my son's a young man.
I was probably the only teenager in there, to be honest. So you're right. That is a good point. Yeah.
I did have a couple of cruises back where the kids were 17 and they were big fans of mine after seeing me.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying, we want to go to your other show, but you got to be 18 and plus. I go, well, you already gone to that show. Yeah, I was with my parents. I go, well, just tell them that you just signed up for the Navy and you're going to start.
Yeah.
This is your last hurrah. He goes, oh, that's a good idea. So they came to my next show.
That's stolen valor. I didn't care for that.
No, I know you didn't. As a
That's
Navy
a crime.
Man.
That's a felony.
And
they did not serve, and they were saying they served. That's a crime too. You could be
accessory, right?
It's something. You planted a seed of stolen valor into a young man's brain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right, you want to leave that out there? I would edit that out.
Charles Manson.
I would edit it, but
Charles Manson did that. He didn't commit the crimes. Charles Manson died in prison for crimes he did not commit.
Right. Well, personally, never. Well, although that one wasn't there one house he went to, I think, and he was involved in but generally, yes, he sent them out to do his bidding.
The dirty work, yeah. Brainwash them. Mm-hmm.
But it's crazy. And I was saying this to Kelly the other night. We were watching Dateline or something, and this doctor fraudulently did surgeries, sinus, nose, throat, people, and some died, some never needed it, some he didn't even do the surgery, just build them, and he made $13 million in 1 year doing this, 15 to 22 surgeries a week. And when it was all said and done, and he got caught, he'd been on the run for 2 years. He was FBI most wanted. He was sentenced. He did 7 years. Sentenced to 7, did 4 years. But if another guy pushes his wife and she falls on her head, hits a table, and she dies, he gets life. Like, I don't understand how the system, the sentencing system works. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, this guy should have been put away for life for 130
He should have been executed.
Years.
They should have performed sinus surgery with no anesthesia.
One woman had lung cancer, or no, throat cancer, and he missed it. He didn't see it, and he did sinus surgery on her. Meanwhile, so the whole time she's like, I'm not feeling better. He goes, you'll feel better. You'll feel better. And the cancer's getting worse and worse, and then she ends up passing away. That's he got all of those cases, and he gets 7 years, does 4.
Is that because?
And yet, I don't understand.
The $13 million he still had control over for for legal representation?
No, that's the thing. I don't even know how he represented because he was out of money. He was at the end, he was living in a tent in like the Italian Alps in 15-degree below zero weather. And so it was not that he had no money left, but still the sentencing in Florida, not in Florida, he lives in Florida now. He's out and he's teaching yoga. And he has a new family. And so they're interviewing these people who lost
a new
relatives.
family,
And they show,
and they know about his past.
Yeah, well, I would imagine, or he just lied to some woman and had a child with her, and never explained anything. But he had a website, and he's got video of him and the wife and baby on it doing yoga, like in the park in Miami. And they're showing it to the families of people who
you
died.
went to the Italian Alps. You're living in a tent. At first, you said he's living in a tent in the Italian Alps, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds pretty good." Then you went, 15 below, zero. And then I'm like, "Is that Celsius or?"
No, 15 below zero. But that's how he got caught, because he was skiing. He was an avid skier, and he met a woman there, and then they got into a relationship. But I guess she was Googling and different things and found out his name was really not Mark Stern. It was Mark, Weinberger. And she turned him in. She's the one who turned him in.
Mm-hmm.
And they went and got him. And they show the pictures of him outside. They have the marshals outside a tent in the Alps. But anyway, my point is, he did 4 years. The guy has a new family, lives in Miami. How is that a thing where
how that
you
works.
or me, if we,
is it technicalities? They can't prosecute under certain laws?
I don't know. They didn't explain it. They just showed the families are pissed, and no one had answers.
So what you're saying is, if I wanted to off my wife, I should perform nasal surgery, and I'll do 4 years tops.
Well, I wasn't going to say it outright, but I was going to drop in your hints there, buddy. Come on now. You do 4 years, you brush up on those
and do you get to collect the life insurance policy? That's another thing. Do you get the $1 million life insurance policy?
I'm just saying. I don't know.
Tax free.
I don't know. You got it though. You got what I was doing. You read
the gist of it.
The lines.
Well, it's so funny. You mentioned the wife turned him in.
You got the jism.
You got the jism. The girlfriend or the wife? Because he's remarried. Okay. Because the British.
Yeah, no, he remarried after prison in Miami.
I don't remember the guy's name. Recently, the face of the BBC 10 p.m. news, the presenter.
Oh yeah, host. He's a bit of a pedo.
Yeah, he's a pedo, as they would say. And
pedo.
It came out. The story broke last year that a big name was involved in this. Blah blah blah. There was apparently 41 images
Mick Jagger
exchanged on WhatsApp, and then his wife revealed it. It was him. She said he needs help, and
these wives turning in your man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Stand by your man, and then turn him in. So she turned him in, and he just went to court and pleaded guilty to 3 judgments. But can you imagine that 40 years as the trusted? He's like the Walter Cronkite or the
right.
Who are the other ones? All the big people that did the news for years in America.
Peter Jennings,
who died of
Dan Rather.
He'd be like that
Tom
caliber.
Brokaw.
Tom Brokaw. He'd be like that guy. And for 40 years,
like
and this
at the end of the bar.
I know. And he's this isn't just he just did this the one time. This is something that was he's been doing this. Huh?
Right. Do you have a little Brokaw? You're an impressionist type fella. Give us a little Tom Brokaw.
I don't know if I could do it. Al Romas. A little drunk. Al Romas. I can get there if I had time to work on it.
There you go. That was some Brokaw. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. For our
So
listeners
anyways,
over 80, enjoyed.
yeah. So that level of a news reporter guy from the BBC, 40 years, just pleaded guilty. He was exchanging, underage naked
Yeah.
kids.
It happens. What was the DJ in New York? Remember, not Jim Ladd or one of those, Jim Kerr. I don't know, one of those guys. But he got lured in with an FBI sting, and then he ended up flying to Nassau to meet a woman who was going to give him her 1-year-old son for the afternoon in a hotel for some money. And he landed in Nassau, and the FBI threw the cuffs on him. It's like he was New York's top DJ for 35 years on NEW FM. And yeah, he died in jail, waiting trial. He never even got to trial. He ended up getting cancer and died in a cell. But
so they say.
How crazy, horny, sick are you to get on a plane and fly to Nassau to think you're going to meet a 1-year-old?
I don't think we should waste the space in prison or elsewhere for people like that. But it sounds like it is a sickness, and you're supposed to say, "Oh, well, it's a disease." I'm like, well, there's no cure for that. So
no,
because this presenter guy, this is not new. This is something he's been doing his whole life.
Yeah.
And to mask it with the most trusted face in news.
Yeah, they knew. Some people knew.
Well, there's a club
because he's number one. He's bringing in big money, and if he's bringing in big money and he's number one, no one's going to rock that boat.
It's an easier thing to mask, because then he starts. When you get into those, I'm assuming when you get into that other world, it becomes more available to you, and you got money, and but it's pretty sick, man.
I agree with you, though. There'll be in the future, there certainly will be no trials. It'll be straight to execution. 100 years from now or so, when they realize what the fuck, what were those people doing?
Well, maybe they'll have a cure for it by then, but right now there's no cure, and therapy. I don't believe in any of that for that type of heinous.
No, crime. If you're looking to have sex with a 1-year-old.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Hey, shut up, or I'll tell your mother.
Oh, that kid is a fucking pain in the ass.
Put that gag back in.
In or back on? In your box.
I don't even know. I don't know.
Yeah, what would that be? On. Oh, in. Yeah, back in. Hey, I'm looking at the notes here, and we're pretty much done here, but there's a question from a couple weeks ago. We never got to. So wanna take a field of question right now?
Sure.
All right. Oh, look at Alfred. If you're on the Patreon, he's got his little travel cigar kit, and I see 2 sticks in there. Let me open that up again. Let me inspect those. What do we got? Oliva. I see an Oliva and an Undercrown. There he is. Yeah.
Classics.
Classics.
These are easy.
Yeah. Nice to have on a day off. 100%.
Oh, here's a nub.
Oh, yeah. I like a nub. Nubs are good.
Mm-hmm.
Little dog walker.
These nubs are slow, though. I usually think these are like 30, 35 minutes. These go for, I don't know, almost an hour. Slow burners. Go ahead.
Well, you should try smoking it.
Are
you ready, sir?
I'm ready for my question, because it's time
for questions. I don't know who wrote this. They sent it, I imagine, through the Instagram. That's where we field most of our questions. You could ask them anywhere, though. We'll get them, and we'll throw them up there. And Al's doing a weird. Is that a bat?
I think it was.
I think
it was Dracula.
You look like a bat.
I come to answer your questions. No?
There you go. All right. And they say he only does fart jokes. How wrong you are. All right. Here we go. This question from a few weeks ago, and this is very weirdly written, and I don't even know how to answer it. But here we go. Which contemporary phenomena should never be the subject of a comedic performance? Who's writing this? This guy a time traveler from 1805? I mean,
Yeah.
really, very. Which contemporary phenomena?
He must have waxed
Uh,
mustache.
John DeCrosta?
Is it John DeCrosta? No, I mean it's like
John
a steam
DeCrosta's
pump.
writing.
You said 1880s steam pump.
Contemporary phenomena should never be the subject of a comedic performance. Wow, I like the fact you at least call us comedic performances. That's nicer than what most people say. I don't agree. I mean, cancer, I guess, is something that's always been a tough one. I don't know, unless you have a really good joke and you want to hit it, it's worth it. But generally, tough subject.
Well, let's go back. Let's go back 20 years ago when you could do AIDS jokes. You could do
hell yeah.
gay
I'm
jokes.
Now, yeah.
You could do, any skin color jokes. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying they were right. I'm just saying there were comedians that were doing them, and there were audiences that were laughing at them.
Did you have any bits where you said like fag or any kind of retard or any word that now is a little bit? Ew. Did you have any bits like that? That was the joke.
I don't think I did.
My first.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying. I
am
off stage.
I'm saying it.
I would certainly laugh at those jokes with my friends in that, in the locker room sense. But we never
locker room talk.
Yeah,
grab by the pussy.
I mean, I witnessed people throwing out the N word on both colors, by the way, black and white, saying it. And
in your house
when
last week,
people of color would say it.
People of color.
Yeah, I'm trying to be. I know.
Look at this woke fucker.
Well,
people of color. Jesus.
When a
Christ.
black person would say it, it didn't even like. It was like part of the, the vernacular. Whereas, if I heard a white person say it, which I have heard a couple of times in public, I was like completely mortified. And I'm talking like 25 years ago. I'm like, oh my Lord, how is that even? Wow, how can you? I didn't understand it. Now, go back at 10 years.
I heard it on stage recently, so it's still out there. But this was a black comedian, but saying the N-word quite a bit.
Yes.
And it didn't work, to be honest.
It doesn't work.
Doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do.
Well,
the black people laugh.
It's the double standard.
But Whitey's
thing.
too uptight.
Yeah,
Whitey doesn't know what to do.
The white comedian may say the N word. They'll say, "I'm not allowed to say the N word," or "I was uncomfortable."
Yeah.
There was a comedian who addressed this, and he said, "It's so weird that a person of color can say this word." N-word, and it's just acceptable. But he says, he goes, I don't know if it's a double standard or not, but if you're not of color, you can't say the N-word. And he goes, for instance, in the front row, we have 2 N-words right here.
Right. Yeah.
And the 2 black guys howled. They fell over. They thought it was the funniest thing ever.
Right.
And you could see the white people were very uptight.
And they're dramatic when they laugh.
Yeah. So it was an interesting experiment. But
it's funny. I had a joke when I started where I said fag over and over, and I only dropped the joke not because of the word, and this is years ago, but because the joke itself I realized was too hacky. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But then you come across years later, that same format of a joke still goes. I hear comedians do it all the time, but now you can't say that word. So it's, you know what I mean? Like I quit doing it because the bit was hacky, and now you'd have to quit doing it because of the word. You can still do the hacky bit. Guys are still doing that style. You know what I mean? Where it was one of those where you go to the movies And I said two guys can't sit next to each other.
So
You have
they
to
have
leave
the
a
fag
homo
seat.
seat open.
Homo seat,
And then-
fag seat.
Right. And then this guy I went with sat next to me. And I go, what are you? No, I sat next to him. And he goes, what are you, a fag? You faggot? And then I go, Jesus, Dad. I mean, I'm your son. And that was the thing, which is always right. And it's still done to this day. But I quit doing it because I heard too many guys doing a similar take.
Right.
Well, whereas now it would be the word that would, but again, I worked with a guy 2 weeks ago. He was yelling that word on stage, and crowd was okay with it. He let him know, like, I'm just going to say stuff that I want to say, and I don't care.
It's funny.
And it worked pretty much for the most part. For the most part.
I went to a
I'd say for the
production
most part it
show.
worked. But it's, ballsy.
I went to a production show on MSC. The cast lives on the ship production.
Yeah.
And I went with the activities manager. We hung out with one of the singers during the day. Well, we hung out with one of the singers during the day, and
oh boy, what was his name?
Why do you do this? I hope we answered the question, by the way. But what I'm saying is we went to the theater, and I go, let's sit up in the back so we don't take any seats from the passengers. Also, I like to sit in the back in case I want to hightail it out of there. But I sat through the whole performance.
Because it's going to suck. Those shows stink. You know that.
Not all of them, and it was a new line, and I wanted to see what the difference was. So
really,
I like to check out the dancers.
All right,
and the women dancers too.
All right.
So we sit down, and I sit next to him, and then he gets up and moves over a seat.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Oh, is this the seat?"
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't say the word because I don't know the guy well.
Oh,
but I meant.
What'd you say?
I was saying in quotes, is like, "Is this your fag seat? I'm not allowed to sit next to you." And he went, "Oh, no, you can sit." And then he said, "I just wanted to move over because of the passengers." And I looked behind me, and there were passengers coming in. So I moved over, and we sat side by side. But I thought he was doing the fag seat.
Yeah.
And then I blew him.
Phobic. Hey now.
I got to edit.
Why? I liked it. It was great. It was a good ending.
Oh, we answered the question, I think. Kind of.
Yeah. Well, what current phenomena? I mean, there's no phenomena. Certain words you can't say. I mean, like you said, 20 years ago, there was no thought about it. You say anything you want and go up there, and if it works, it works.
You get a laugh.
And now you got to. Yeah, now it's different. Now you got to go. Well, I don't know. I've lost bits. I mean, they probably should have been lost anyway. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's a good thing, but I've lost bits that have certain words or, the idea of it, and you go, it doesn't. You could just tell. Suddenly everything was good, then it wasn't so good, and then there was a time you just get a look from somebody. I'd get a look, and you just could tell. You know what I mean? Like, no, you shouldn't go there, or that.
I think it's important for us to
anymore.
We have to keep a finger on the pulse of, what's going on in the comedy direction. Right. And unless you're selling out arenas, if you're selling tickets, then your audience is coming to see you, and it doesn't matter. But you and I are like, we're looking for our next gig,
slide and a rock climbing wall. So,
although I will say that some of the performers on these comedy ships do sell out entire cruise ships.
Oh, they're sold out already.
Yeah, they're sold out. Yeah. Like they're coming to see them. A comedian, if you book the right comedian that nobody knows on a cruise ship, that cruise ship is most likely going to sell out and be booked 2 years in advance if they know that you're performing on it. Mm-hmm.
That's right, and that's why they like to they'll ask to close the show
because when my fans come see me,
their fans are coming to see them.
Hey, when are you going to be on another cruise ship? Because they come and see me. Who am I doing? What impression am I doing?
I think his name starts with an M, but we'll leave it there. Eminem. There's an M and an M in the names. Figure it out, folks.
We're going.
All right.
Wave goodbye.
So long, Mel. Have a good trip.
Iceberg, dead ahead.
Don't forget to review us and rate us. It really helps.
The Talking Dicks became friends at a very young age, and the rest is history.
I'm losing my mind.
Patreon.com/The2Dicks, which is named after our web series.
This is the Two Owls, One Pod podcast.
Thanks for tuning in.
Done.
I didn't kill my wife. I don't care.
We'll fix it in post, you son of a bitch.
All right.
Okay, sure.
Subscribe. Mary. This was a horrible mistake.
Go to patreon.com/forward-the-2dicks.
If you shoot me, you won't see a cent of that money. Why?
I think it ends on that. That's beautiful.